Why is everyone wearing these clunky shoes? Your middle-aged dad has a pair, your marathon running roommate has a pair, and the mushroom-taking fashionista that lives in the condo next door certainly has a pair. Hoka is taking over footwear, carving a legitimate seat at the table with Nike and Adidas. The shoes are well known, but the come-up story isn't. A flawless decade-long push to the boundaries of footwear, a niche focus, and brand that has escaped the marketing rat race in D2C. Hoka went from a $1 million valuation to doing $1 billion in revenue 10 years later. I'm Aidan Brannigan, I'm 23, slinging memes and researching the dopest marketing stories of all time. Come learn with me so we can make ourselves sound smart in the marketing meeting tomorrow. Let's get into it. Founded in 2009 by two former Saloman employees, Nicolas Mermot and Jean-Luc Diard, the idea for Hoka was born out of their passion for intense trail running. While other running shoes were focused on lightweight designs, the partners wanted to create a more durable shoe with extensive cushioning and protection for longer runs on trails. With backgrounds in engineering and biomechanics, Nicolas and Jean-Luc worked to put together their first prototype. The first shoe featured an oversized midsole, a unique meta-rocker geometry to encourage a smooth stride, and lightweight materials to keep the overall weight of the shoe in check. Here it is. The partners presented the initial prototype at a trade show where they met an interesting character to the story, Mark Plotchis. Co-founder of Boulder Running Company and 1993 World Marathon champion, Mark was an icon in the very space Nicolas and Jean-Luc looked to tap into. At this trade show, Mark was completely blown away by the prototype called Hoka. So much so that he ordered 770 pairs on the spot to sell at his retail store. To that point, Nicolas and Jean-Luc had only made prototypes, but this initial demand from Mark was all they needed to start producing the shoes at a higher clip. Doubling down on their niche strategy, Hoka poached ultra runner Karl Meltzer from La Sportiva and inked an exclusive deal where Karl would only compete in Hokas. For context, Karl's the Michael Jordan of ultra running, winning more 100-mile ultra marathons than every other runner. So getting the exclusive right to Meltzer's feet, which sounds weird as hell, was a big deal. By 2012, Hoka had become the go-to footwear for ultra runners, and athletic shoes company Deckers saw the promise of the brand and acquired Hoka with the goal to introduce the brand in new markets. Now, typically in D2C, brands will spend 25 to 30% of their revenue on marketing to fuel sales, which is it's difficult to sustain, and the minute you pull marketing spend to optimize for profits, top-of-line sales plummet, which you don't want. To maintain your trajectory, even when you pull marketing spend, you need a brand that is so meaningful to customers that it will outlast your marketing spend. Hoka has just that, and Deckers knew it. The clunky soles, bright colors, and big logos slapped on the side, Hoka's shoes go headfirst against the minimalist trend that has captivated nearly every consumer market since 2010. I mean, Abercrombie's revival is all thanks to a minimalist approach. No more logos, no more bold color combinations, and Lululemon's continued dominance is thanks to a minimalist approach. No logos, simple colors, and no clunk clothing and shoes. Now, Hoka isn't taking on Abercrombie and Lululemon. They're taking on an industry with as many brands at the starting line as any other. Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, New Balance, On Cloud, Asics, Reebok, Puma. Want me to keep going? Not to mention the fact that Nike and Adidas are literally two of the most notable brands on the planet. To take them head on, Hoka would have to be nuts. We've seen brands attempt to take Adidas and Nike head on, like Under Armour, and it pains me to say this since I went to the University of Maryland where Under Armour was founded, but they grew rapidly initially, yet over the last 6 to 8 years, their business has plateaued because they went straight for Nike and Adidas. Instead of going right at the giants, Hoka's leaning on what makes them different, and they've built a cult following. In order to do that, your brand has to exist outside the norms of culture to appeal to those who feel alienated by the current norms. These alienated groups are a big opportunity for brands looking to build a cult-like following. These consumers feel different from everyone else, they don't fit in, there's no product that understands them. When consumers didn't feel seen by the Nike and Adidas of the world, Hoka filled the gap. It's the same playbook that Liquid Death ran with. The stigma of going out with your friends to a bar and you're the only one not drinking. What are you gonna do, get a plastic Aquafina water bottle? That's lame. Whether you like it or not, there's societal pressure that comes with being in a situation like that, and it's uncomfortable. Liquid Death saw there was a crowd of people who didn't drink, knew that societal pressure all too well, and felt like no brand understood them. So they made it kick-ass to drink water at a bar. That's why their following is so tight-knit. Now back to shoes. Everyone has Air Force Ones, all of your BFFs have Adidas Superstars, and you don't want to be a part of the pack. You want to stand out, you want to let your personality shine through in other ways than white Air Force Ones. The large heels, vibrant colorways, big logo on the sides, they're a fashion statement, a conversation starter, a feel-good shoe, literally and figuratively. Consumers don't just love Hokas for how they look. They love them for what it does for them. It makes them feel like they aren't just another cog in the wheel. To cement this authority within the fashion world, Hoka has partnerships with Free People, the specialty lifestyle brand which is the destination for bohemian fashion, and Bodega, the popular streetwear brand. Both Free People and Bodega are known for their months, even sometimes years early trends and style choices. They're the go-to sources for when it comes to being in the know in fashion. Being associated with both brands is genius for Hoka. It has helped them shed their previous notoriety for being exclusively for ultra runners. The reason their success in the fashion industry makes sense is because streetwear and fashion all comes back to psychology. Expression of individuality, empowerment, and confidence. Hoka's unique shoes that stand out like a walking rainbow hit on all the biggest desires for consumers interested in looking fly. And of course, once the brand really saw momentum, massive celebrities began donning the shoes during workouts, on their casual Saturday strolls, and at all the important industry events. So after all this commotion, where does Hoka stand amongst the giants? You can see searches of Hoka compared to ASICS and OnCloud over the years, and Hoka's outpacing both. But if you throw Nike into the conversation, you can see, well, there's no conversation. Hoka still has miles to go. Revenue in 2023 did cross 1.4 billion, and Hoka has seen 50+% growth every year since 2020. But just for perspective on how far off they are from Nike, Nike does 12 times Hoka's yearly revenue each month. Possibly the greatest sign of Hoka's success, though, is the prevalence of similar chunky style shoes now in the catalogs of Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. Imitation really is the greatest form of flattery and a sign that Hoka invented a new tangent in the industry. Another unique thing that Hoka has going for them is there's still strong ties to the ultra running community. Unlike lifestyle shoe brands which sell at the typical $150 price tag and last users for years, running shoes are only good for about 300 miles, and the typical ultra runner will run 70+ miles a week. So if you do the math on that, Hoka users aren't buying 2 to 3 shoes a year. They're buying 2 to 3 shoes per month. So Hoka benefits largely from repeat purchases in ways brands like Allbirds, New Balance, and OnCloud can only dream of. So who is Hoka's biggest competitor? In an interview with the CEO of Hoka's parent company, he said much of their internal drive comes from the idea of overtaking Nike in the space of footwear. I'm eager to see how the industry shapes up in 5 to 10 years and see if they can do that.